Hello, hello. Welcome. This is Trust Ed Academy, and my name is Caleb Mills. Today is, April 21st, 2026. And over the past couple of days, we have talked about, I got into a brief introduction of the Unincorporated Business Trust. And yesterday we talked about trustees and governance. Today is going to be legal structure and property ownership. So, thank you for being here today. I'm really glad that you are taking time to sit down and listen to this information because this information could change your life, especially if you own a business and or an LLC and you have registered that LLC um, with the state. More than likely you did it wrong. And even if you're a successful business owner, you can still fill out forms wrong. And unfortunately, a lot of times that we are, being taxed or being punished for things, it's because we've been um, conned into taking um, ownership of a trust that we don't own, and that is um, your name in all capital letters. Um, if you would, like to learn more about stepping into the private and how your identifications that are registered with the state, like your license and um, birth certificates, can really negatively affect you in your life. And really, that's the only reason you can be locked up in prison is because of this Cesta K trust. And that's something that you need to separate yourself from, especially if you ever want to have financial freedom. So we will go ahead and jump in today's lesson. This lesson explains how an unincorporated business trust, a UBOT, separates legal title, beneficial ownership, and liability protection so that only trust property is exposed to claims. You'll see how trustees hold legal title not for personal benefit, while beneficiaries hold beneficial interest without direct ownership or standing in litigation. We detail trustee authority to prosecute/defend suits, manage disputes, and pay related costs from the trust estate. And we clarified the limitations of liability and indemnification provisions that shield trustees, officers, agents, and beneficiaries, directing creditors solely to the trust estate. Together, Article 6, legal title, and Article 7, litigation, and Article 8, limitations of liability, form the protective framework that preserves privacy, continuity, and operational independence of the trust. So this will be Lesson 3, legal structure and property ownership. In this lesson, you'll learn how the trust legal structure defines property ownership, separates control from benefit, and ensures protection. We'll explore how trustees hold legal title while beneficiaries enjoy rights, creating a secure framework for privacy, asset management, and long-term stability. Introduction. One of the defining features of an unincorporated business trust, a UBOT is its ability to clearly separate legal title, beneficial ownership, and liability protection. This distinction is what sets a UBOT apart from more common structures like partnerships or corporations, where ownership and liability often fall directly upon the individuals involved. In a UBOT framework, the separation of rights and responsibilities is not just a technical detail. It is the very mechanism that safeguards the trust stability. By dividing legal ownership from the beneficial enjoyment, and both from personal liability, the UBOT ensures that no single party carries the entire weight of ownership or exposure to risk. This design allows the trust to function smoothly, protect its assets, and prevent creditors or outside parties from directly targeting individuals. 1. Trustees hold the legal title to the trust assets, but they do so strictly in a fiduciary capacity, never for their own personal benefit. 2. Beneficiaries enjoy the beneficial interest, meaning they reap the profits and benefits of the trust property, yet they hold no legal claim to the assets themselves. 3. Both trustees and beneficiaries are shielded from personal liability, ensuring that only the trust property can be targeted in the event of disputes or claims. Give me a sip here. Sorry about that. In this lesson, we will examine Article 6, Legal Title, Article 7, Litigation, and Article 8, Limitations of Liability. Together, these articles establish the legal backbone of the trust property ownership and protection framework, preserving its integrity, privacy, and independence. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to 1. Explain how legal title to trust property is vested and transferred. 2. Understand the trust authority in litigation matters. 3. Recognize the protections against personal liability for trustees and beneficiaries. 4. Identify the significance and indemnification within the trust governance. 5. Appreciate how these provisions ensure privacy, security, and operational independence of the trust. Article 6. Legal Title. Foundation of property ownership in a UBOT. One of the strongest protections within an unincorporated business trust, UBOT, is the way it firmly establishes legal title to property. Unlike other ownership structures, such as partnerships or corporations, where property may be directly tied to the names and liabilities of individuals, a UBOT keeps property anchored within the trust itself. This design provides 2 essential benefits. Continuity of ownership. Property remains under the trust control regardless of trustee or beneficiary changes, ensuring smooth operation. Protection of individuals. Because ownership is tied to the trust and not individuals, trustees and beneficiaries are shielded from personal claims or liability exposure. By ensuring that legal title rests solely with the trustees and their fiduciary capacity, the UBOT maintains a stable framework that secures both the trust assets and the people associated with it. Trustees as legal owners. Legal title to all trust property is vested in the trustees, never in the beneficiaries. This ensures that trustees manage property purely for the trust's benefit, not for personal gain. Trustees may record property titles under the trust name, through a nominee, or under the individual trustees' names, providing the trust interest remains safeguarded. This flexibility allows for strategic management without compromising protection. Automatic vesting of title. When new trustees are appointed, legal title automatically vests in them. No additional transfer documents or formalities are required, making the process seamless. When trustees resign, are removed, or die, their legal title to trust property automatically ceases, preventing ownership disputes or legal complications. This feature creates uninterrupted legal continuity, ensuring that trust property always remains properly vested. Exclusive control of trustees. Trustees hold absolute authority over trust property. Their decisions made within the trust framework guide how assets are managed, invested, or distributed. Beneficiaries, on the other hand, only enjoy a beneficial interest. While they can share in the income or benefits generated, they cannot demand partition, division, or premature distribution of assets unless the trust provisions specifically allow it. This balance secures both effective management and protection from internal disputes. Key insights. Continuity and stability. The automatic vesting of title ensures that trust operations continue smoothly, even during trustee changes. 2. Asset protection. Property is insulated from personal claims because ownership lies with the trust, not individuals. 3. Fiduciary responsibility. Trustees are bound to act in the best interest of the trust, ensuring ethical and responsible asset management. 4. Separation of powers. Beneficiaries cannot interfere with management, preserving order and reducing conflict within the trust. Overall, Article 6 establishes the legal backbone of property ownership in a UBOT. It guarantees that property remains under the trust authority, protects individuals from personal liability, and ensures seamless continuity of control, making it a cornerstone of trust stability and security. Beneficial ownership versus legal title. Understanding the distinction. A central feature of an unincorporated business trust, UBOT, is the deliberate and well-defined division between beneficial ownership and legal title. This separation is not simply a formality, it is the foundation of how a UBOT protects both its assets and its members. Beneficiaries are given the economic rewards of the trust, such as income, profits, or distributions, without being burdened by the legal obligations of ownership. They enjoy the benefits but are not exposed to risks that come with managing or holding property directly. Trustees, on the other hand, are granted legal authority over the property. They hold the legal title and exercise control, but they are restricted to acting solely in their fiduciary role, meaning their decisions must always serve the trust and its beneficiaries, never their personal interest. This division creates a protective shield. Beneficiaries can safely enjoy the trust benefits, while trustees manage and safeguard the property under a duty-bound structure. It also ensures that the property itself remains secure, continuous, and insulated from personal claims or financial troubles of individuals. Role of the beneficiaries. Own certificates of beneficial interest. Entitled to distributions or proceeds, but not direct ownership. cannot demand property, transfer, division, or control of assets. Role of trustees. They can hold legal title solely in a fiduciary capacity. They cannot use or claim trust property for personal benefit. They can protect assets only for the trust purposes. Illustrative example. A trust owns real estate listed under trustees or the trust itself. Trustees oversee and manage the property. Beneficiaries may receive profits or rental income but cannot claim the property as their own. Practical advantage. Trust assets are shielded from the personal creditors of beneficiaries. Creditors cannot seize trust property since beneficiaries do not legally own it. It's all important to remember there. Once you think about it a little bit, it'll start to click. It's just we've been taught and told one way, and now we've got to learn something different. Key insights. 1. Economic versus legal rights. Beneficiaries enjoy profits. Trustees carry legal authority. 2. Strong asset protection. Beneficiaries, personal creditors, cannot claim trust property. Fiduciary safeguard. Trustees manage property with a legal duty, not personal privilege. Balance of roles. This separation creates harmony by aligning management authority with fiduciary responsibility while protecting beneficiaries from direct risk. In essence, Article 6's separation of beneficial ownership and legal title provides the UBOT with both flexibility and protection, ensuring assets remain safe while ensuring assets remain safe while still generating value for its beneficiaries. Article 7, litigation. Trustees as legal representatives of the trust. In an unincorporated business trust, the responsibility of handling legal matters rests squarely with the trustees, not the beneficiaries. This arrangement ensures that the trust operates as a distinct legal structure, with trustees acting as its official representatives in all matters of litigation or dispute resolution. By centralizing this authority, the UBOT prevents confusion, maintains order, and protects beneficiaries from becoming entangled in legal disputes. Trustees alone have the power and responsibility to defend, prosecute, settle, or dismiss cases on behalf of the trust. That's important to know too. Why centralization matters. This framework prevents fragmented or conflicting lawsuits and keeps the trust operating with the one unified legal voice. It also ensures that disputes are resolved efficiently without unnecessary involvement from the beneficiaries or external pressures, strengthening both the continuity and integrity of the trust. Step 1. Trustees' authority. Trustees may prosecute or defend lawsuits that involve trust property or trust operations. They are empowered to engage in arbitration, settle disputes, or even abandon claims if it is in the trust's best interest. This discretionary authority allows trustees to act swiftly and strategically without requiring approval from every beneficiary. Expenses. All litigation costs, attorney fees, and settlements are paid from the trust property, never from the personal funds of the trustees. This ensures that trustees are not personally burdened by legal proceedings, reinforcing the separation between the trust operations and individual liability. Dismissal power. Trustees hold the authority to consent to dismiss suits brought in the trust name. This power extends even to cases initiated by participants or investors, meaning only trustees can decide whether litigation should proceed or be withdrawn. Implication for beneficiaries. Beneficiaries have no legal standing to sue or control litigation involving trust property unless trustees specifically authorize it. This keeps beneficiaries protected and uninvolved in direct disputes while ensuring the trust representation remains consistent. Key insight. Centralized legal authority. Trustees act as the sole representatives of the trust in litigation, maintaining order and consistency. Financial protection. Legal expenses are drawn from the trust estate, not trustees' personal accounts. Operational flexibility. Trustees can arbitrate, compromise, or dismiss cases when prudent, keeping the trust agile in legal matters. Beneficiary shielding. Beneficiaries are insulated from legal entanglements, reinforcing the protective structure of the UBOT. Article 7 establishes trustees as the trust legal guardians tasked with handling disputes fairly and responsibly. It ensures that trustees act in the trust's best interest while safeguarding beneficiaries. Importantly, it shields both trustees and beneficiaries from personal liability, keeping obligations and claims limited to the trust itself. Article 8. Limitations of liability. The liability shields of a UBOT. One of the most valuable protections offered by an unincorporated business trust is its built-in liability shield. In many traditional business structures, such as partnerships or even certain corporations, owners, managers, or shareholders can sometimes be held personally responsible for debts, obligations, or wrongful acts tied to the business. This often puts their personal assets, homes, savings, or other property at risk if the business faces financial trouble. A UBOT operates differently. It ensures that the liability is contained strictly within the trust estate. This means the trust itself is responsible for its obligations, not the individuals involved. As a result, trustees, beneficiaries, and other participants can fulfill their duties with confidence and security, knowing their personal wealth cannot be targeted by creditors or claimants. This structure is especially powerful because it combines the protective strength of corporate limited liability with the flexibility and independence of a private trust agreement. It gives participants both freedom and protection, making it one of the UBOT's cornerstone advantages. No personal liability. Trustees, officers, employees, and agents of the trust are never personally responsible for trust obligations or acts performed in good faith. Beneficiaries are also protected since they hold no direct ownership and only enjoy beneficial interests. Indemnification. The trust provides indemnification to its participants, meaning they are legally protected against claims that may arise from fulfilling their role. Legal fees, settlements, and other reasonable expenses are paid directly from the trust estate, not from individuals' private funds. Creditors' recourse. Creditors must look exclusively to the trust property to satisfy claims. Neither trustees nor beneficiaries' personal assets can be seized, regardless of the trust obligations or debts. Practical implication. 1. Complete personal protection. Trustees, beneficiaries, and other participants are fully shielded from personal liability, creating peace of mind. 2. Strong indemnification. Any cost arising from the legal defense or claims are covered by the trust itself, not individuals. 3. Creditors restricted to trust assets. Creditors cannot bypass the trust structure to attack personal assets of members or managers. 4. Comparable to limited liability, but more flexible. This liability shield operates much like corporate limited liability, but with greater contractual independence since the UBOT is governed by trust documents rather than corporate statutes. Just remember, corporate statutes were made to govern fictitious entities, not the living human being. And whenever we are operating under our license or birth certificate, that gives the courts the legal right under the color of law, which means it's like law. It's not truly law. It just seems like it. So, Article 8. Article 8 reinforces the UBOT as a strong shield, protecting trustees and beneficiaries from personal liability. By ensuring obligations rest solely with the trust, it upholds independence and integrity. This positions the UBOT as a self-contained legal entity, safeguarding participants while maintaining the trust credibility and protective framework. Practical applications of liability protection. How the liability shield works in real life. The liability shield of an unincorporated business trust is not just a legal safeguard. It has direct practical benefits for everyone involved by protecting trustees and beneficiaries from personal exposure. The UBOT encourages confidence in governance, preserves the value of beneficial interest, and strengthens the trust credibility when engaging with outside parties. The structure allows the trust to function as an independent entity while ensuring that risks remain confined with the trust estate, not individual members. For trustees, the liability shield encourages individuals to accept trustee roles without fear that they will be personally liable for trust obligations. Trustees can make decisions confidently, knowing that any financial or legal exposure rests with the trust, not their private property. Beneficiaries. For beneficiaries, beneficiaries' interests remain purely beneficial. They enjoy profits, distributions, or proceeds without liability risk. Their personal assets are fully insulated from claims against the trust, even if the trust faces debts or lawsuits. For the trust gains credibility and reliability in its dealings with third parties such as banks, vendors, and business partners. Since liability is strictly confined to trust property, external parties can transact with confidence, knowing exactly where claims may be satisfied. Example: suppose the trust defaults on a loan. Creditors may seize trust property to settle the debt. However, they cannot pursue the personal assets of trustees or beneficiaries. Those remain fully protected by the UBOT's liability shield. Why it matters. 1. Encourages participation. Trustees can accept their roles without fear of personal financial loss, ensuring strong leadership for the trust. 2. Protects beneficiaries. Beneficiaries enjoy the benefits of the trust while staying completely shielded from liability risks. 3. Strengthens credibility. The trust becomes a more trusted partner for banks, vendors, and business associates as liability is clear and confined. 4. Secures personal wealth. By insulating personal assets from trust obligations, the UBOT creates lasting financial security for everyone involved. 5. Promotes continuity. This protection ensures the trust can operate confidently across generations, maintaining stability even during financial challenges. In essence, UBOT's liability protection makes it a secure and reliable structure. By shielding trustees and beneficiaries from personal risk, it enhances trustworthiness and ensures long-term sustainability. This protection strengthens the UBOT's role as a credible framework that benefits all parties involved while preserving the trust's integrity. Governance implications. Strengthening trust management through legal provisions. 3 pillars of UBOT governance: legal title rules, litigation authority, liability protections. The governance of an unincorporated business trust rests on 3 pillars: legal title rules, litigation authority, and liability protections. Together, these create a governance system that is both stable and protective, ensuring the trust can operate smoothly while shielding participants from unnecessary risk. And one thing I want to point out here about this education, if you notice, it repeats a lot of things kind of over, and that is to help the student or the person that's trying to learn. It helps get that programmed into their head. Like the more important aspects of the lessons will be repeated more often through the lessons. So you will see that whenever this platform comes out, that you will be able to learn quicker. Anybody will be able to learn quicker, and you will have a everyone will have a AI instructor that can read out the lessons for you. You can ask questions. I mean, it's very amazing. I cannot wait for you guys to see this. Let's get back into it. Unlike statutory entities such as corporations or partnerships, where roles, rights, and liabilities may be dictated by state law, a UBOT relies on contractual trust provisions, giving it greater flexibility and privacy. By centralizing management, limiting personal exposure, and unifying legal authority, the UBOT establishes itself as a strong and resilient alternative to statutory business structures. Legal title, Article 6. Ownership is vested in trustees, not beneficiaries. This centralization ensures continuity and order even when trustees change. Prevents disputes over property ownership by keeping assets firmly within the trust. Litigation Authority, Article 7. Trustees hold exclusive authority to manage lawsuits involving the trust. Prevents fragmented or conflicting legal actions by beneficiaries. Ensures the trust always speaks with one unified legal voice in court or arbitration. Liability Limitations, Article 8. Shields trustees and beneficiaries from personal liability. Encourages smooth governance by reducing fear of personal risk. Strengthens the trust's long-term sustainability and credibility with outside parties. The protective shield. These provisions combine to form a governance shield that protects individuals and assets alike. Makes the UBOT a flexible, private, and credible alternative to corporations or partnerships. Balances authority, protection, and independence, ensuring stability across generations. Key insight: unified governance. Trustees maintain consistent and efficient management. Legal cohesion. Trustees ensure the trust speaks with one legal voice in disputes. Personal protection. Liability limits remove fear of personal risk. Durability. Safeguards strengthen the UBOT's longevity and resilience. Alternative to statutory entities. Offers corporate level protection with greater independency and privacy. In short, Articles 6 through 8 make the UBOT a secure, credible, and sustainable structure balancing authority, protection, and independence. Summary and next up. Summary: legal structure and property ownership. Article 6, legal title. Trustees hold legal title. Beneficiaries hold beneficial interest, and ownership stays centralized within the trust. 2. Article 7, litigation. Trustees manage all litigation, preserving centralized and unified legal authority. Article 8, limitations of liability. Trustees, beneficiaries, and agents are shielded from personal liability with claims confined to trust property. These provisions collectively establish the UBOT as a self-reliant and liability-protected structure. They safeguard trustees and beneficiaries from personal risk while ensuring continuity and stability. At the same time, they uphold governance integrity, allowing the trust to operate independently and securely as a durable, credible legal framework. And the next lesson, beneficiaries and enjoyment, you'll learn how beneficiaries participate in the trust through beneficial interest rather than management authority. This lesson will explain their rights to income, profits, and distributions while highlighting how they remain shielded from liability, enjoying the trust benefits without governance responsibilities. So as you can see, this educational platform is very thorough, and I think